Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything podcast, and in this episode I'm going to be continuing looking at some future Big Finish releases of 2024, only the ones that have been announced because I don't know any others that haven't been announced yet, obviously, because I'm not a Big Finish person, like a executive person with a spreadsheet with all the dates. So obviously I've only got the announced ones, so without further ado, let's get on with it. So we're starting with the 24th of July 2024, which is when Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf will release. Operation Werewolf stars Michael Troughton as the Doctor, Fraser Hines as Jamie McCrimmon. Yeah, I finally said his name right, that's good. Wendy Pabry as Zoe Herriot, Timothy Blore as SS Gruffudd Ulrich Schneider, Al Coppola as Pierre Dubois, Stephanie Cornicard as Jules Pereira, Rolflo de Grootlo as Philippa Foray, Michael Higgs as Sir Aubrey Fanshawe Smith, Jordan Longran as Francis Pereira, Dale Rapley as Commandant Kurt Muller and Sheldon Murchison, Leonie Skilsing as Humphrey Lenny Bruckner, and Branko Tomovic as Professor Hans Richter. Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf is written by Robert Kitt, Douglas Camfield and Jonathan Morris, with the director being David Emahaney. The synopsis is as follows. The TARDIS has brought the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe to Normandy in France, not in 1066 as intended, but in 1944. But in 1944, 3 days before the Allies are due to launch the D-Day landings, joining forces with French partisans, they learn that the Germans have been conducting secret experiments at a nearby chateau. These experiments form part of a plan that German High Command believe will enable them to win the Second World War. The name of that plan, Operation Werewolf. Here is the trailer for Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf.
Where are we, Doctor?
Exactly where we're meant to be, Jamie. Normandy 1066.
They didn't have many railways in William the Conqueror's day, did they, Doctor?
No. Right place.
Wrong time.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf.
What's that?
I think I know. Aeroplane. What are those things lighting it up?
Searchlights, Jamie.
Someone's shooting at it.
Oh, dear.
Well, that rules out the 19th century.
Yes, Zoe.
Sir Aubrey, the radio room has just picked up a call from the resistance group in Normandy. They say they've found the Doctor.
The Doctor? Who are you? And what are you doing here?
I'm Jamie McCrimmon.
I'm Zoe Herriot. We just arrived.
In Normandy? They're headed this way. I'll try to draw them off.
Papa.
Look after my daughter.
Oh, Herr de Hoorn. All right, you wouldn't want him to die before the Commandant had a chance to question him.
I am Hauptsturmführer Leni Bruckner, aide de camp to Gruppenführer Schneider. We have been expecting you, Herr Doctor.
So, this is a police box. The Doctor will have the key. Fascinating.
How are our two guests? They know too much. So we interrogate them, force the truth out of them.
If they are spies, I will happily kill them myself.
You're members of the Resistance, aren't you?
Well done.
3, 2, 1, and activate!
You mean these two cabinets
A
are...
means of instantaneous meta transmission.
You, Professor Hans Richter, have mastered teleportation.
the locations of the main troop camps on the south coast. We will shortly send over an elite commando force who will release the gas at the camps.
What is it? It's poisonous gas.
What about gas masks?
We don't have any.
The troops will then fall under our control.
I am loyal to the Third Reich. Heil Hitler.
The gas and lunar light will turn the Allied poodles into Nazi wolves. Hence the name of this plan, Operation Werewolf.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Doctor Who: The Lost Stories Operation Werewolf, which will release in July 2024, and that is the final, as we know, of recording. I'm recording this on the 5th of July 2024. That's all of the announced Big Finish releases of July 2024. So we're now moving to August 2024, in which, because we don't have any dates, I've just listed, so this is what we've got to look forward to. I'm going to do a blanket for the month and I'm going to go through each one. So we will have Susan's War: Family Ties, Sixth Doctor Adventures: The Trials of a Time Lord, Dark Gallifrey: The War Master Part 2, Torchwood: Endgame, The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty, and The Death and Life of River Song: Last Words will release. So we're going to start off with the first one I mentioned, which is Susan's War: Family Ties, which stars Carol Ann Ford as Susan, Jonathan Carley as the War Doctor, Sonny McGann as Alex Campbell, Damien Lynch as Cardinal Rasmus, Beth Chalmers as Commander Vecklin, Heather Billisdale as Priestess Vesselina, Sophie Billisdale as Luix Pedra, Rosalind Landor as Chief Sethin. The writers of Susan's War: Family Ties are Sarah Cassidy and Peter Angerhalders, with the director Big John Ainsworth. So here's the synopsis. No Gallifreyan was safe from the Time War. While the Doctor resisted the call, his granddaughter Susan did her duty and signed up to fight the growing Dalek threat. There are two stories in this box set, those being The Lost Son, written by Sarah Cassidy, and The Golden Child, written by Peter Angerhalders. As with most of these, there isn't any trailers out yet, otherwise, yeah, I will mention if there is or isn't. Next up is The Sixth Doctor Adventures: The Trials of a Time Lord, which stars Colin Baker as the Doctor, Nicola Bryant as Perry Brown, Bonnie Langford as Melanie Bush, David Banks as the Cyber Leader, John Culshaw as Sticklefan and Stunrib, and Terry Malloy as Davros. The writers of The Sixth Doctor Adventures: The Trials of a Time Lord are Catherine Armitage, Stuart Pringle and Roshana Patel, with the director being Jonathan S. Powell. Here's the synopsis. The Sixth Doctor's 40th anniversary celebrations continue, courtesy of Ludosphere Incorporated, with the greatest adventure ever streamed. Responding to a distress call from an old friend, the Doctor and Mel found themselves in Siberia, a prison camp run by an even older foe, but this time the Cyber Leader's machinations are just the tip of one very sinister iceberg, one that will test the Doctor to his very limit and beyond. We hope you're hiding behind the sofa, because the Trials of a Time Lord are about to begin. Parts 1 and 2 of the Trials of a Time Lord, so it's 6 parts, we imagined about 3 hours-ish. It's one story. So the Trials of a Time Lord parts 1 and 2 are written by Roshana Patel, parts 3 and 4 are written by Catherine Armitage, and parts 5 and 6 are written by Stuart Pringle. Next up is Dark Gallifrey: The War Master Part 2, which stars Lisa Bauman as Bernie Summerfield, Derek Jacobi as the War Master, James Marsden as Catherine John Hart. The writer for Dark Gallifrey: The War Master Part 2 is James Goss, with the director being Scott Hancock. Here is the synopsis. Amid the dreaming spires of Bractell University, Benny is dividing her time between her lectures, her cat, and managing the romantic advances of one of her students, John. The new provost, such a nice old man, doesn't approve of their dalliance and advises her not to get involved, for John wants to know about Dark Gallifrey, which is something Benny has done her best to forget and thinks he can help her find it again. The funny thing is, the dear old provost wants to find it first. Next up is Torchwood: Endgame, which stars Nakira Mori as Toshiko Saratu. Torchwood: Endgame is written by Tom Black and directed by Scott Hancock. Here is the synopsis. You've been brought to secure Control Room B to respond to a simulated emergency. You will be able to issue orders and make real-time decisions in a disaster scenario. Welcome to the end of the world. Should we begin? Shall we begin even? Next up is The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty, which stars Jonathan Carley as the Doctor, Gareth Armstrong as Judd, Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks, Pamela Navente as 181, Sheila Ruskin as Cora, Theo Solomon as Herving, and Samuel West as Morbius even. The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty is written by Tom Foley and directed by Bethany Wymans. Here is the synopsis. The War Doctor has been forced out of the fight and the battle has moved on in his absence. There are new powers, new anomalies and new excuses from him to keep his distance. With only Cora, his nurse, to keep him company on the forest planet of Lul, the War Doctor is content to leave his old life behind. But something is stirring in the depths of a twisted planet. An old embittered foe harbours a terrible grudge against the Doctor, and when a chance encounter gives this enemy the chance to escape, no one is safe in his quest for vengeance. From the depths of the stormy valley, Morbius will rise. Next up, I think it's the last one, is The Death and Life of River Song, Series 1, Last Words, which stars Alex Kingston's River Song, and similar to The War Doctor Rises, Morbius the Mighty, it's a 4-hour story, so it's 1 hour episodes, which stars Alex Kingston as River Song, Jane Booker as Harmony, Dr. Kanta Jorsen and the Librarian, Nicholas Bolton as Reverend Horlock and the Destroying Angel, Jacob Daniels and Disaster Tezend and the Bunker Computer, Christine Kavanagh as Guardian Angel and Vera, Glenn McCready as Technician June and Agent 1, Shogo Mikita as Major Strite, Jamie Parker as Samuel Avner and Sam Spendlove, Andrew James Spooner play as Dr. Erno Baltzer and Mr. Bartholomew, Izzy Van Wildwick as Lady Mary Wembridge and Lufberg Computer, Robert Whitelock as Lazar and Agent 2, Greg Wise as Garrison Clay, and Jamie Sabri as Pervy and Comtech 2. The Death and Life of River Song, Series 1, Last Words, is written by Robert Valentine and directed by Ken Bentley. Here is the synopsis. Wrenched from a digital afterlife in the library, River Song finds herself on a 61st century Earth, resurrected in a clone body. Billionaire tech model Garrison Clay has a mystery to solve, and he selected River as the person to solve it. Armed with only her sonic screwdriver and a fake ID, River heads out into the world soon to be ravaged by solar flares, where danger stalks her at every turn. As I mentioned, this is 4 hours story. So the first hour is titled Apocalypse, the second hour is titled Fate of Fertility, the third hour is titled The Black 4 Hours, and the fourth and final hour is titled Book of the Dead. That is all of the Big Finish releasing in August 2024. Actually, no, but before I go with that, here is, we're going to get there. Here is the trailer for The Death and Life of River Song, Series 1, Last Words.
Extracting now. System preparing data form for download.
Bring the bioshell online.
Clone body in position for neuromolding.
What's that?
Warning.
What's happening?
That data core is nearly 10,000 years old. It was never meant to be accessed like this.
Warning. System calculates 89% probability of terminal data form corruption.
We're killing her. We have to send her back.
Neural relay online. Data form ready to download.
Do it. Now.
Neural download complete.
From Big Finish Productions, the worlds of Doctor Who, The Death and Life of River Song, Last Words.
What's happened? Oh, where am I?
A subterranean compound in the Australian desert, 1 new standard kilometer beneath the surface.
A bunker?
We've simply given you a 6-week lifespan.
Oh, so you've ripped me from my home, but at least I'm dying.
Forgive me. It is 6087, about 10,000 years since you were uploaded. In a matter of weeks, the surface of this planet will be ravaged by solar flares.
Oh, and you want me to stop it?
It can't be stopped. Soon now. Very soon. The final event will occur.
So you're planning to wait out Armageddon down here?
There is a little mystery I would like you to solve, Professor. Somewhere up there on the surface, a conspiracy is afoot. And I want you to get to the bottom of it.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
My name is Clay. Garrison Clay. We should get started.
That was the trailer for The Death and Life of River Song Last Words, which will release in August 2024. Now that's all of the releases scheduled to release from Big Finish in August 2024. So let's look at all of the Big Finishes. The Big Finish releases scheduled to release in September 2024 as of time of recording on the 5th of July 2024. So again, similar way, I'm going to list the ones that I know about and then go through them one by one. So we have the Fourth Doctor Adventures, Dominant Species, the Fifth Doctor Adventures, The Great Beyond, Dark Gallifrey, The War Master Part 3, Bernie Summerfield, The Eternal Club 1, the Eighth Doctor Adventures, The Stuff of Legend, and Torchwood, The Hollow Choir will release. We're going to do them in order, like I said. So we're going to start off with the Fourth Doctor Adventures, Dominant Species, which will star Tom Baker as the Doctor, Eleanor Crooks as Naomi Cross, Christopher Naylor as Harry Sullivan, Clive Hayward as Overseer Volta and Trell, Polly Kemp as Chloe and Quarks, Joshua Kloska as Korg, Rosalind Landor as Morin and Quarks, Indira Ovia as Burley and Quarks, and Clive Wood as Director Draga. The Fourth Doctor Adventures Dominant Species will be written by Sarah Glocher and John Dorney, with the director being Nicholas Briggs. Here's the synopsis. There's two stories in this box set. The first one being The Face in the Storm, written by Sarah Glocher. 1916, and the TARDIS has landed in the cargo hold of the SS Maycrest, the ship transporting soldiers across the Atlantic. Except that's not all that's being transported across the ocean, because the Doctor and his friends find a strange crate in the hold, a crate that's unnaturally cold. But the contents of the crate are not the ship's biggest secret, nor its deadliest threat. Next up is the second of the two stories in this box set, that being Dominant Species, written by John Dorney. It's been a long time since the invasion of Teleria. The population is enslaved and subject entirely to the will of the conquerors, the Dominators and their deadly robot servants, the Quarks. The Doctor, Harry and Naomi stumble into this perilous scenario and are soon separated, but freeing the people of Teleria should be business as usual, shouldn't it? Where the Dominators are concerned, things may not be that simple. Next up is the Fifth Doctor Adventures, The Great Beyond, which will star Peter Davison as the Doctor, Janet Fielding as Tegan, Sarah Sutton as Nyssa, Matthew Waterhouse as Adric, Anna Critchlow as Nairobi Starclair and Princess One, John Hopkins as Fairfield, Philip Herdwood as Ivan, Maggie Service as Alison Starclair and Barker, Baxi Vernon as Ocean Starclair and Princess 2, Andrew Winecott as Beyond and Jarden. The Fifth Doctor Adventures, The Great Beyond, will be written by James Kettle and directed by Ken Bentley. Here is the synopsis. The Doctor has been sent to Beyond for the rest of his natural lives. In the years after a devastating intergalactic war, a prison facility was set up on a distant planet to preserve the fragile peace. The most dangerous former combatants are sentenced to life and beyond, like the notorious Starclair sisters, whose involvement on both sides of the war is the stuff of legend, as well as a certain Time Lord with a reputation for interfering in things that don't concern them, but there's something else on the planet too, something that adds an infinite variety of agony to a life sentence on Beyond and makes the inmates wish for the relative comfort of death, because what's coming to those who stay too long and beyond is almost too hideous to contemplate. Alive and conscious, deprived of your senses and all movement, just locked in, alone in a darkness that lasts forever. Next up is Dark Gallifrey, The War Master Part 3. which stars Lisa Bowerman as Bernice Summerfield, Jonathan Carley as the War Doctor, Derek Jacobi as the War Master, and James Marsters as Captain John Hart. Dark Gallifrey The War Master Part 3 will be written by James Goss and directed by Scott Hancock. Here's the synopsis. The Master and Captain John are trapped amid the ruins of Dark Gallifrey, where familiar faces and infinite impossibilities gather. With his dream of the ultimate weapon almost within his grasp, the Master revels in the chaos, but all roads lead to the abomination. Next up is Bernice Summerfield, The Attorney Club 1, which stars Lisa Bowerman as Bernice Summerfield, Nicholas Grace as Secretary Pym, Nymph Kuzkak as the oldest, Dan Starkey as Strel. Bernice Summerfield, The Eternity Club 1 will be written by James Goss and directed by David O'Mahony. Here is the synopsis. Welcome to the Eternity Club, where a warm welcome awaits the universe's greatest explorers, a place of mystery, intrigue and creeping danger. Professor Bernice Summerfield has finally been invited to join, but membership comes at a terrible price. There are 2 stories within this release, because it's an hour long, so 2 half-an-hour episodes. The first episode is titled The Armageddon Chair, and the second episode is titled Triumph of the Darkfin. Next up is Torchwood The Hollow Choir, which stars Kai Owen as Rhys Williams, Simon Armstrong as William, Kirith Finn as Lucas, Olivia Forrest as Lynn. The writers of Torchwood The Hollow Choir are Malcolm Devlin and Helen Marshall, with the director being Bethany Weimers. Here's the synopsis. There's always been something in the caves. Over the years, people have gone in and not come out. But that was a long time ago. They've been sealed for the best part of a century. 8 hours ago, something changed. 3 students somehow found their way in. Now, time's running out to rescue them. Their one hope is a man called Rhys Williams, because somehow he has a map. Now we're on to the 14th of September 2024, which is the only release date that we know after July. Actually, Operation Werewolf is the last one we know, with the 24th of July 2024. But on the 14th of September 2024, the 8th Doctor Adventures The Stuff of Legend will release, which stars Paul McGann as the Doctor, India Fisher as Charlotte Pollard, Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks, Alex McQueen as the Master, with the writer of the 8th Doctor Adventures The Stuff of Legend being Robert Valentine and the director being Barnaby Edwards. Here is the synopsis. Something is afoot in the lonely Cornish village of Merry Maid Bay. Rumours of dead men working in the tin mines have sent a chill through the community, and it's up to the Doctor and Charlie to get to the bottom of the mystery. Can the legends of the Buka that haunted the mines be true, and just what awesome power do the Doctor's greatest enemies, the Daleks, threaten to unleash upon the universe? That is all the releases for September 2024, Big Finish wise at least. So yes, that's actually where I'm going to end this episode. So there's no trailer, but I can tell you that I'm going to be talking about the October releases. So we'll be talking about Time War Uncharted, The Third Doctor Adventures, Bernice Summerfield, Torchwood, and Jenny's the Doctor's Daughter, amongst some others. So back to this episode. Let me know what you thought about the Big Finish releases I talked about in this episode, as well as past or future Big Finish releases you would like us to talk about. Put your thoughts on those both in the comments below. As well, with anything else you want to go to the channel for a review session, it could be a TV show, a movie, it could be a book, it could be a comic, it could be an article, or it could be some news about your favourite TV show or movie. Put them in the comments below as well. And remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe. And that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. Goodbye.